Right, please rise. The Circuit Court of the State of Oregon for Lane County is now in session. The Honorable Carrie McIntyre presiding.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone. How lovely to see such a full house here today. Welcome to the investiture of our two most recent judges, Judge Jessica May and Judge Allison Knight. Our two judges are filling our newly created positions for seat 17 and seat 16 here in Lane County Circuit Court. We are honored to recognize our dignitaries who are in attendance today. Thank you for joining us. First, I'll start with explaining who all of these lovely folks are that walked in when we went into session. We have our most senior judge, Judge Vogt, Judge Sanache, Judge Conover, Judge Love, Judge McAlpin, Judge Rigmaiden, Judge Valor, Judge Cascanet, Judge Fenerty, Judge Grace, Judge Bassi, and here in the front row we have Judge Carlson, Judge Rasmussen, Federal Judge Kasabai, Chief Justice, former Chief Justice Walters, and Senior Judge Suzanne Shanti. We also have many distinguished colleagues present. I suspect one or two other judges may be secret and stealthy hiding in the audience. We will not out you now. We also have other dignitaries who are joining us both in person and online today. So thank you very much for your attendance. We have members of the Lane County Board of Commissioners, two of whom, I should note, generously gave up their parking places for our new judges to have. We have our state legislators, leaders who advocated vigorously and persistently to be able to get us and secure these new positions for Lane County. Joining us remotely is Caitlin Plummer, the Executive Director of the Lane Public Defender Services. In addition, we have Chris Perosa, the Lane County District Attorney, who's here in person, along with Lane County Sheriff Carl Wilkerson. We also have our Lane County Public Defense Consortium Administrator, Rebecca Anstein, present. I also want to acknowledge members of our local bar and courthouse staff and other valuable community partners who are here today as well. So thank you for attending. Judge May is pleased to have members of her family with her today. This is Judge May's family. We have her parents, Tammy and Clem May of Eugene, a mother-in-law, Molly Dwyer of West Lynn, her sisters-in-law, her brothers-in-law are traveling from Portland to Eugene. In addition, a whole array of aunts and uncles are joining both in person and by video. But importantly, with us here in the positions and seats of honor are her spouse, Ryan, and her children, Connor, Olivia, and Liam. So welcome. Judge Knight is also joined today by... Judge Knight is also joined today by her family who have traveled great distances to celebrate this occasion, including her father who's here from Colorado. Before we move on to remarks, Most of you had the opportunity to pick up your programs on the way in so that you see that we have a full agenda this afternoon of hearing wonderful things about my new colleagues. But before we do that and move into those remarks and well-deserved recognition, I would like, on behalf of all of our sitting judges, to express our profound gratitude to the community-wide effort that has made these new positions possible. Former presiding judge Jay McAlpin led the coordinated community effort and worked closely with state legislators, Chief Justice Flynn, and our partners, including the Lane County Bar Association, treatment providers, and interest groups. Our Lane County delegation at the legislative worked collaboratively across party lines, prioritized the judicial needs of our county. From the House of Representatives, Speaker Julie Fahey, support was invaluable. Representatives Nathanson, Fragola, Lively, and Wright were routinely available and advocating for this work. The senators who've worked hard, Senators Prozansky, Manning, and Senator Anderson. I believe Senator Prozansky is here today. Thank you. Our Lane County Bar Association and other community partners mobilized very quickly when needed during the legislative session. Oftentimes it was on short notice. They made calls, they prepared letters of support, and offered their on-the-ground experiences to help articulate the need for these particular positions. Many other professionals and community partners played key and critical roles. Some of you are here today. Chris Wigg from Emergence, Annie Hertz from Sponsors, Laura Johnson, Don Corson, Caitlin Plummer, Christopher Perosa, Rebecca Anstein, Karen Stenard, Todd Johnston, Frank Gibson, Brad Litchfield, Janu Wang, and Jennifer Heisey as our Lane County Bar presidents, Shannon Richard, and the Lane County Women Lawyers. It was a Herculean effort on behalf of our community and many of you to get these positions, and we are so grateful. But wait, it doesn't actually stop there. There's more. We extend our gratitude also to Chief Justice Flynn and her legislative support team for their persistent advocacy to ensure courts and court-related systems receive the services needed to effectively serve our community. We also thank Governor Kotek and her council for their thorough and thoughtful vetting of these judicial candidates. They engaged with the community. They listened carefully to our feedback about our needs and rigorously evaluated each candidate's experience and qualifications. And finally, we thank the voters of Lane County for electing these two exceptional judges. To our sitting judges, thank you for continuing to deliver excellence in the service every day. Before Judges May and Knight joined us, we were doing the same amount of work, simply trying to keep our heads above the constant flow of cases. We now collectively have had just a few more minutes in our days now to dedicate to looking beyond the immediacy of the moment to find ways to improve, and we are doing it. I am humbled daily by the sacrifices that my bench continues to make and the dedication that they have to ensure that our work gets done day in and day out. With the addition of these two new judicial positions, we were able to take a deep look at the court's needs. The Lane County Circuit Court team of staff and judges together began brainstorming and reviewing data, having long conversations, and ultimately created new dockets that allow cases to be heard more promptly and allow the court as a whole to respond more effectively to Lane County's evolving needs, driven by changes in the law, growth in our population, and increasing complexity of the issues that we face. We have established a dedicated behavioral health assignment, which has been long needed but previously impossible without adequate resources. We remain committed to listening to the community and continuously improving. This afternoon, we have several wonderful speakers who will share their thoughts about Judge May and Judge Knight. You will find their names in the program, and they will further elucidate for you the reasons why we are so lucky to have them join our bench. So with that, we'll begin first with Jennifer Heisey, who is the Director of Advocacy for the Oregon Law Center. She is also the current president of the Lane County Bar Association.
Hello, everyone. Today is a great day for our legal community. We gather to welcome Lane County's two newest circuit court judges, Judge Allison Knight and Judge Jessica May, into the distinguished ranks of the Lane County bench. The appointment of these judges is both an increase in the number of seats on the bench and an investment in the integrity, fairness, and accessibility of justice in Lane County. Their arrival comes at a wonderful time since our court is super busy, and having more judges means that cases can move forward faster and people can get their day in court sooner. As judges, they take on a role that is both an honor and a profound responsibility. Judges not only interpret the law, but also shape the lived experience of justice in our community. I didn't compare notes with Judge McIntyre before this, so I also want to extend our thanks to the Lane County Legislative Delegation and everyone else who worked so hard to get these two new judicial seats, because I have heard over the last several years from the judges that their workload is immense. I go to every State of the State presentation in January with the local bar, as you should too, and so I've heard all of the data, all of the work that they're doing, and these positions were very, very needed, and it is wonderful that they came into existence. So then, on behalf of the Lane County Bar Association, I extend our warmest welcomes to Judges Knight and May. We look forward to working alongside you to uphold the rule of law, strengthen public trust, and ensure that our court remains a place where truth and fairness prevail. Congratulations and welcome to the bench.
Thank you. We also have joining us today Constantine Sevier from Governor Kotek's office.
I feel no pressure right now. Right. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Constantine Sevier. I'm the governor's deputy general counsel, and I'm exceedingly glad to be here. On the other hand, my allergies are not. So if I have to kind of mega dose on some anti-allergy meds or sneeze uncomfortably or awkwardly, my apologies. So Governor Kotek isn't here due to her schedule. She wishes she was here because this is such an exciting time here. And I think, frankly, for our state, being able to to celebrate and to take the wins when we can. I think a lot of us are paying attention to what's going on in the world. And there's not a lot of time we can all come together in fellowship and just appreciate two amazing individuals. And I think this is a bigger celebration as well of the Lane County bench, which is amazing and collaborative. And in my role at the state, I have called upon the Lane County bench from time to time, and they have always been exceedingly gracious in the time, and particularly the former presiding judge. So super excited to be here. I want to congratulate Judge Knight and Judge May on their accomplishment and their willingness to serve this amazing community in the state of Oregon. Before I go any further, I want to make sure that I call out Senator Przanski. He's already been recognized, but he's obviously such a leader for our state and for this region, and I know he wouldn't take all of the credit for the additional positions on this bench, but he is such a leader in our state and someone who the governor's office leans on incredibly on a lot of different issues. So thank you for the work that you do, Senator Przanski, and thank you for the work that you do for this community and the state. So us attorneys who are in this room, we all take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think it's one of the most sacred things that we can do, and it's one of the things that is something I feel hugely honored to be able to do when I first became an attorney. I'm first generation American, And it's one of the amazing things about being an attorney is how do you actually live that that oath? We try to take it into our practice. Judges do that day in and day out, and they're also a touch point around the community with individuals who might have had the worst day in their life, and when they're in front of a judge, they're having to relive that. Whether it is they participate in a crime or alleged to participate in a crime, they're a victim of a crime, their marriage is dissolved, or their business relationship is dissolved. And judges are there as a vital touch point for our communities and for our system of law and fair play and justice. As you all know, this is a really special place. I love Lane County. I'm also a big nerd. So the fact that Lane County is one of the 2 counties in our state that touches the Pacific Ocean and the Cascades is amazing. And it is not, let's say, the physical heart of Oregon, but I think it's one of the most Oregon of Oregon counties in a lot of ways. There's, in our state, we often divide ourselves up by urban or suburban or rural, timber county versus knowledge-based. Lane County is all of that. And so I'm a Multnomah County person, very urban county. It is something that, as a state, we're really lucky to have the input from colleagues, whether they're judges, legislators, community members from Lane County in Salem when there are significant issues. And one of the things that motivated the governor in picking judges is their ability to kind of step in both locally, but also stepping in on a statewide basis. Of the 2 candidates, or they're not candidates anymore, the governor selected. I read the memo. So I actually had a chance to get to know Judge Knight a little bit before she stepped onto the bench. And there are a lot of folks who know her around the state because of her intense and vigorous advocacy. One of the things about Judge Knight, if you kind of run across her, you don't really have to kind of figure out where you stand with her. You kind of know. Like, I've never heard anything that's like, how do I stand with her? You kind of have the sense. She's very plain-spoken, and I think as Oregonians, sometimes we undersell a little bit our feelings and what we think. And one of the things I've appreciated about Miss Knight, or Judge Knight now, is her ability to speak directly to the issues, her strong advocacy, and particularly in the space of behavioral health. She is a huge leader, and she is modest in talking about that, but very recently, the state passed a very huge behavioral health reform bill, House Bill 2005. Judge Knight was one of the critical people that made that bill happen. And she worked not just with the defense side, which is obviously super important, but she worked with prosecutors, she worked with judges, she worked with community mental health, and did something not just to benefit her former clients, but to benefit all of us as Oregonians. And as somebody who's in Salem a lot and will be in Salem all next week because of legislative days, that's something that's pretty rare. And so the fact that this community is able to have someone of that caliber on the bench who will obviously be a leader here, but also potentially on different issues statewide, that is one of the big reasons why the governor decided to pick Judge Knight. Judge May, hopefully my boss doesn't watch this, but.
We are live streaming.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate the candor. Really didn't have a choice with Judge May. There are a lot of feedback that we get from community members about potential judicial candidates. Several said that she was a rock star and that the governor would be making a big mistake if she did not appoint Judge May. I agree with that sentiment. Also, more importantly, the governor agrees with that sentiment. The thing that really that Judge May connected with the governor on was just like she has an abiding passion, obviously for the law, but for this community. She is deeply rooted in this community, and in judicial interviews, they're such an artificial construct. It's a kind of a weird thing, but Judge May was able to connect with the governor in a real human one-on-one way that really impressed the governor and just made her feel that she was the right person for the job. There are a lot of people who are set to talk, so I want to make sure that I'm being respectful of everybody's time. The governor is incredibly grateful that these two leaders have decided to serve Lane County as well as the state of Oregon. She wishes them congratulations. And yeah, those are my comments. Thank you so much.
One of the fun parts of this type of ceremony is that we get a glimpse into some historical information regarding our candidates that you may or may not be aware of or familiar with. And the first person who's going to share some information is Judge May's former law partner, J.C. Arnold.
Well, I guess I should point out by saying this is the only green dress that I own in my closet. I purchased it just for today because I wear black and gray as blue, as most of you know. You see me at court. And for some reason, although this was not planned, we have not yet cut the link, and we both showed up in green. So just letting you know that was not a planned event, but somehow her mind control is still here. It's an honor to stand before all of you today to celebrate the investiture of my good friend, Judge Jessica E. May. It's an honor for me to say that she's going to be joining the Lane County Circuit Court. I've had the privilege of knowing her for almost 13 years now. And during that time, she started as our associate attorney. She was actually interviewed in a small conference room by my daughter and I. My daughter's right here. Give a wave. She's much bigger now than she was at the time that we interviewed Judge May, but we both knew instantly that this was the person that we wanted on our team. After putting up with me for 10 years, believe it or not, she accepted an offer for me to be named as partner of Arnold Law. Of course, she's decided to leave me and all of her workload, but I'm pretty sure that her workload here at the court probably trumps what she was doing there, no doubt. As many of you know, that when you're in a small law firm and lawyers have to spend time together, you see each other on your best days, you see each other on your worst days, you see each other all the days in between. And if you're not seeing each other, you're talking to each other, sending text messages or updating about our littles and what they're doing. So you are intimately involved in every aspect between work and home life. And that's, I think, true for the two of us over these years. I have seen this wonderful individual learn how to respond to pressure. I've seen her respond to disappointment, success, extremely difficult clients, impossible deadlines that have been imposed, particularly in the area of family law, frequent legal emergencies that involve the entire damn office all the time because it's somehow everyone's problem all at once. But she always managed to handle all of those things with extreme grace. Because of that, I can say to all of you with the utmost confidence that Judge May's appointment to this bench is not simply a recognition of her accomplishments, but it's a recognition of her character more than anything else. When she joined the practice, it quickly became clear to me that she possessed all the qualities you hope to find in a young lawyer: intelligence, diligence, sound judgment, and an unwavering commitment to clients and advocacy. But over time, her greatest strengths went beyond that mere legal skill. She's always had a remarkable ability to bring fresh and reasoned perspective to extremely difficult situations, along with a healthy dose, sometimes too much, of sarcasm and humor. For example, she had a boom wall, in her private office, where we posted quotations, sayings, observations, and occasionally those unforgettable court rulings that make lawyers even with several years of practice under their belt, pause and ask, did someone really put that in writing in an opinion? And one of my favorites comes from a written closing argument that Judge May filed in a contested complex divorce case. She had this very detailed proposal for structured payments of a fairly sizable equalization award. And it ended with the line in her memo to the court, "This proposal is how we do not kill the goose that lays the golden egg." And in the opinion letter from a very wise Judge Stone from Coos County, the court adopted the majority of her plan, noting in his written opinion, quote, "I agree, we can expect no more golden eggs if the decree I find kills the goose that laid them." Of course, that made it to the boom wall. But that boom wall served many purposes. It gave us something to laugh about on extremely difficult days. It reminded us not to take ourselves too seriously. And perhaps most importantly, it reflected a belief by Jessica that even in a profession that's defined by high conflict and stress on most days, there's still room for humor, humanity, and perspective. And these qualities matter more than most of your general public realizes. All of our judges that are here behind me are entrusted with serious responsibilities day in and day out. But in my 25 years as a lawyer advocate, the best judges never lose sight of the people behind the cases. And that is what Jessica has done. And she has understood that every day that she has practiced law. And she will bring that with her to the bench. Now, all of this being said, if you were to meet her outside the courthouse, you might not immediately guess, even though she may sometimes get out with her Jimmy Choo shoes and a beautiful dress or suit, that she was destined for judicial office. In fact, you might see her driving a very well-worn pickup truck. And you might assume she was headed to a construction job site rather than the court. In fact, everyone knows I love exhibits. I brought with me a demonstrative exhibit that I've marked as Exhibit A, and I would like to introduce into evidence. You see the dents, the paint?
I didn't make the dent.
Oh, yes. That's right. The kids even know about this truck. Okay, well, for the record, this is the very vehicle that she drove more times than I can count to work and parked it next to my car. And this truck has become something of a legend. I expect you, by the way, to hang this in your new office on the wall. Yeah, that's right. But this truck sometimes didn't have the windows that would roll up. Sometimes they wouldn't roll down. Sometimes it would lock. Sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes the doors would close all the way. Sometimes they weren't. Her husband, Ryan's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And this truck would appear on the days whenever the family minivan that hauls around these youngsters would be unavailable, usually because of a very complex set of family logistics that had claimed the van for more important purposes. But I want you all to picture this because the image of Judge May in that truck, I think, is the most wonderful thing. Because despite her accomplishments and despite the title that she assumes today, Jessica at her core is one of the hardest workers I've ever known. She's practical, she's unpretentious, she's grounded. She's the exact same person, whether she's arguing a complex case, volunteering in her community, power washing her house, or driving a truck that's clearly seen better decades. And of course, anything that I could say about Jessica would be incomplete without mentioning her dedication to prioritizing her family, her husband, Ryan, these three little energetic yahoos that are the loves of her life that are sitting in this front row. And they sometimes make her days much more challenging than any legal practice or court docket ever could. But she still handles it every single time. And if we all think about it, raising three young very smart, and very inquisitive elementary school children at once with a busy law practice may actually be the best possible preparation, I think, for serving as a judge. Patience, definitely required. Conflict resolution, all the time with you three. Maintaining order while all three are talking at once, a daily exercise, and one all of you are going to learn that appeared before her. She's got that mastered in the courtroom, so beware. Yet through it all, she's remained a devoted wife, an amazing parent, an exceptional lawyer, and a trusted law partner and a valued friend. I'm confident that all of you who appear in her courtroom will find a judge who listens carefully. Don't cry. I don't mean any of this. You're going to find a judge that listens carefully. She thinks before she speaks. She treats people with the utmost respect, and she approaches problems with humility and never forgets that behind every case is a human being deserving of dignity. And these are qualities that make a damn good lawyer, but they're also qualities that make an exceptional judge. Today, Judge Jessica May takes this oath to serve the people of Lane County in the state of Oregon. And while this title may be new, the qualities that brought her to this very seat are not. They're the same qualities that I have watched her demonstrate every single day for almost 13 years while she's been involved in my life. And the public that's going to appear before her is going to find a judge who is thoughtful, prepared, fair, compassionate, and deeply committed to justice. And she'll understand when people are running late because they drive a truck like this and they need some grace. While the robe may be new, I suspect that this boom wall spirit and old truck driver spirit will remain, which is a reminder that wisdom and humanity often go hand in hand with her. It has been one of the greatest privileges of my life to work not only alongside you, but to call you my partner and my friend. Congratulations on this well-deserved honor. In Lane County, you are so fortunate to have this one on the bench. And I know, like I am, all of you that know her are very proud to have her there. Thank you. Okay, that's the only time I've ever bought waterproof mascara. I think, is it working? I don't know. I have the privilege of also introducing two very distinct speakers, maybe three if you wanted to say hi, but I would like to call up Olivia first to give some remarks about her mom, and perhaps Liam after that, or Connor. You want me to stand by you?
Hi.
Oh, right here. There's a stool. Oh, that worked. Okay.
Hi, my name is Olivia Dwyer, and
You're doing great. So you want to talk about how proud you are of Mama?
Do you not want to try? Just start right here.
You want me to read it for you?
Okay, let's have JC.
Let JC.
JC.
I think I can do it. She has the best handwriting ever. Let me give this a try with Dad's help. Hi, my name is Olivia, and I want to talk about how proud I am of my mom. I see how hard she works and still has time to teach me and tuck me in bed at night. I love my mom so, so, so much, and I am glad I'm here to celebrate my mom's judge party with her today. and family and friends that are here. I love you, Mom. I'm so, so proud of you.
Hi, my name is Liam, and I just want to say how proud I am of my mom and that I am so excited to be here with her friends and family. Mom, I love you so much. Hi, my name is Connor. I love my mom so much, and I am very proud of her. Thank you for being there for me, Mom.
My name is Ryan Dwyer. I did have something prepared today, and Jessica told me at the last minute you're not allowed to speak. So I did not print it out. I do not have it in front of me. I thought it was very good, though. I will say this, though. I want to congratulate Allison. There's a lot of friends of ours here to celebrate Jessica, but not knowing your story, I can only imagine the dedication, perseverance, ups and downs you went through to get where you are today. So we all celebrate you as well. I do know a little bit more about Jessica and her journey. I met Jessica in her second year of law school. It was kind of ho-hum with the struggles and, yeah, you're in law school. And then every once in a while I check out her books. Every sentence in those books you had to memorize. I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way. I'm not doing this. Couldn't imagine it. So I had a lot of respect for Jessica from day one. One of the things I always wanted when I was looking, I guess, for a partner was ambition. Didn't care what it was. Didn't care if you wanted to be great at golf or great at architecture or whatever. Just ambition to do something. And Jess exemplified that from day one. She was going to be a lawyer, and she was going to bust her butt to get there. So we went through law school, and like I said, it was kind of ho-hum. I was like, yeah, all right, she's good. Because I know I couldn't do it. And then came the bar exam. And I don't know if Katie Jeremiah is in the house tonight. She is. I remember I was on a flight home from work, and I was waiting for my phone to get reception, knowing that Jess was going to get the results that day of the bar exam. And I was so nervous. I was nervous. I wanted it to be over with, because I know she had struggled and worked. And finally, my phone gets reception, and it says I passed. And the woman next to me was like, "Are you okay?" Because I was so excited. I think, I don't know, I might have had tears. I'm an emotional guy, it happens. And my luggage went round and round that conveyor belt because I left it there. Because I couldn't wait to get back to the house, our house. Sorry, Clem, we were kind of living together at the time. She wasn't living with Katie Jeremiah. I could not wait to get back to the house to celebrate with her. And the moment, I was so proud of her for all of her hard work, dedication to get to that point. And, you look at that and you say, wow, what a moment to pass that exam. That was just day one. The struggles were only just beginning. The perseverance that these people do up here, these lawyers, these judges, to get to where they're at today is amazing. So Jess passes the bar exam, and I'm thinking, all right, hey, we got Easy Street here. Got a lawyer, and I'm doing whatever I'm doing at the time. But so now we have to find a job, right, Jess? Got to get a job. She's applying for jobs left and right up in Portland, and she's going up against 100 applicants for one job, and some of these are Harvard, Yale type attorneys, graduates. No offense, honey, but that's a tough pool. I'm not going to beat any Wharton School of Business guy either. You know, he's selling IPOs today at SpaceX, and I'm making a snow cone shop if that's the way we're going to do this. So, but she persevered and continued on, and you know, we had struggles up there, and finally we said, hey, why don't we check out what's going on at home? Let's see what's in Eugene. And she had a job within, I think, a couple of weeks. So we said, all right, I guess we're moving home. My job was flexible, and so we did it. And she found JC and Arnold Law Firm. There were always long nights, always long days. A lot of tears, a lot of frustration, a lot of battles that she had to go through, but she never stopped. Always persevered. And I will take a Harvard Law degree. Sorry, I will never take a Harvard Law, Yale degree over hard work and dedication. Okay, there's stuff you can put on paper and pen. It doesn't always equate to, nothing against, if any of you are, I don't know if any of you went to, if any of you went to Harvard or Yale, congratulations, but I'm just saying I'll take hard work and dedication too. And she never stopped. Through all the tears, through all the long nights, the victories and the losses, there were some, but she never stopped working. And her dedication to Arnold Law, I think, was probably one of her hardest decisions to make, to leave JC. JC is family to us. I'm terrified of her, but I make sure and stay on her good side, but JC helped Jessica along, and JC is family to us. And the fact that she helped Jessica along and was able to allow her to leave and join this esteemed group of people is amazing. And I know it was hard for Jessica. She's been offered this opportunity a couple of times, and it was never the right fit. And this time it just felt right for her. I know it was hard for her to leave JC, and but
It's okay, we're still dressing the same.
I am. I'm sure you guys will figure it out. I couldn't be more proud of my wife and her perseverance. Being a lawyer young is hard enough, but she did it sometimes with, where's Olivia? Oh, back there. Sometimes she did it with 2 kids in bassinets in her courtroom, or in her office. 2 kids that needed oxygen, a husband that was on the road 4 nights a week. She did it all on her own. I mean, we had a lot of help, family and all that. But there were times where Jess is trying to start a career with 2 young kids that needed her full support, sitting there in her law office, and she just pounded it out. I could not be more proud of my wife today, and I can't think of anyone more deserving of what she's earned today. And I do not doubt she will not stop. She'll continue to uphold the law, do her job, and deal with these 3 kids and a husband. It's not always easy. But to my wife, couldn't be more proud of you. You deserve everything you've got today. So, thank you.
All right, for the official part, Jessica May, please step forward. Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Repeat after me. I, Jessica E. May,
I, Jessica E. May,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
of a judge of the Circuit Court
of a judge of the Circuit Court
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
and that I will not accept any other office
and that I will not accept any other office
except judicial offices
except judicial offices
during the term for which I have been appointed.
during the term for which I have been appointed.
Congratulations. Robing Judge May today will be her family.
I was just going to sit down. I didn't think I was going to follow through with saying anything. I think this is actually the first podium I've never been too short for. Before I begin, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Mark Clemens, who is here as our court reporter. Mark has a lot of history with my family, with my husband's family, and he was my court reporter when I was in private practice. And it is a big full circle moment and very meaningful for me that he is here and his wife Terry is here. I actually called him and I said, you don't have to work. You can be here as a guest, but there is nobody else that I would want to be recording this, reporting it for us today. And it really wasn't, yes, please. It really wasn't all that long ago that we were last gathered here for the investiture of Judges Grace and Bassie. I think actually it was a shorter amount of time between today and your investiture than from when you were sworn in your investitures. That day of the investiture last September happened to fall right at the beginning of the application process for these two new positions. And at that time, I had made the decision that I was indeed going to be putting in for one of those positions. And as I sat there next to Judge Aiken, I allowed myself a very brief moment to ponder what it would be like if I were to be here at my own investiture. That moment was very, very fleeting. It seemed almost nearly impossible that that would indeed become reality. So it is rather surreal that I am now standing here before you all today. And I appreciate you all being here for this. Since my appointment, I have spent considerable time reflecting on what it is that I would say today. Investitures are, in many respects, an opportunity to acknowledge the people, the institutions, and the circumstances that make a judicial career possible. As I considered those reflections, one theme, one word kept coming to mind: gratitude. I'm grateful first and foremost for the trust that has been placed in me, to Governor Kotek for having appointed me, and to her team, as well as our local bar organizations, for the countless hours they spend evaluating the pool of remarkably qualified attorneys who applied for these positions, whom I was honored to stand amongst. I'm grateful for the work of our legislators for the creation of the two new judicial positions, which reflect both the growth of Lane County and the ongoing commitment to ensuring access to justice for those we serve. And I am grateful, selfishly, that I was able to join this bench without needing the retirement of any of you for me to be able to join you. I have respected all of you throughout my legal career. I've grown up in this court with all of you. And it is incredibly meaningful for me that I get to join all of you as a group. Lane County is fortunate to be served by a judiciary of exceptional intellect, diligence, and character. Throughout my career, I've witnessed the care and the thoughtfulness with which each of you approaches responsibilities of judicial office. I am humbled by the opportunity to serve alongside you and mindful of the standard of excellence you have established. It is an absolute privilege to now call you all colleagues. But no, Judge Vogt, even if we are colleagues, I won't be calling you Deb anytime soon. I want to acknowledge Judge Knight in particular. I am particularly grateful that we have embarked on this journey together. I think my daughter said it best when she saw Judge Knight text me, and she said, "Mom, you guys went in strangers and you came out friends." I've mentioned this to a few of the judges before we got started today. Having the 6 months on the bench with Judge Knight provided us a really fantastic opportunity to grow together. We've been to judge school. We were just there this morning twice, and to be able to get to know you and to grow with you in our judicial careers makes doing this with you today even all the more meaningful for me. Your accomplishments, Allison, on behalf of your clients, your tireless advocacy for the behavioral health in this state have made a profound impact to many people. And I am simply in awe of you, and I'm humbled to have been selected alongside you. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the exceptional court staff who has supported the onboarding of 2 new judges. That is by no means a small feat. And in particular, I'm going to shout out to my judicial assistant, Shaylin Nash, who just started the work of a judicial assistant alongside a new judge. And I think anybody in this room can tell you how challenging that endeavor is. And she was instrumental in making today happen. So thank you. As I'm sure you have all picked up on from both what Ryan said and what JC said, I can confidently tell you that I would not be here if it were not for JC Arnold. Early in my career, JC placed her confidence in me and provided opportunities that shaped me both as an attorney and as a person. Throughout the years that followed, she offered guidance, mentorship, and unwavering support. I would not have been able to have my career had it not been for JC. JC never flinched when I needed to spend months out of the office being with our extreme preemies in the NICU. She warmly welcomed my 3rd child into the office every day of his life for his first year so that I could be both a mother and a litigator. She prioritized my family so that I could then, in turn, prioritize my family. I even recall a moment I had trial with Judge Conover, and we were on day 2 or 3, and Liam broke his foot, and I had to take him to the surgeon, and Ryan was out of town, so I simply told JC, well, we're gonna reschedule that appointment. And she says, nope. You're gonna march in there and you're gonna tell Judge Conover that you need to start a little late. And I said, I'm by no means doing that. And she politely informed me that if I didn't, she would take care of that for me. And then when I needed to wrap up 11 and a half years of my career, my life, in a matter of 3 days so that I could assume this position, she was right there beside me, never balking at the immense work that would then place on her. JC, your mentorship, your generosity, and your friendship have had a profound impact on my life, and I'm deeply grateful for all that you have done for me. You are selflessness in its truest form. I'm forever grateful to my parents, Tammy and Clem May, who instilled in their 4 daughters the values of hard work, independence, and perseverance, and we could always do anything a boy could do. Their belief that we could achieve whatever we were willing to work for shaped each of us in lasting ways. Mom and Dad, you have given all of yourselves so that my sisters and I might lead the lives that we wanted, and I'm forever grateful to you for that. To my sisters, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my brothers-in-law, all of you have provided constant encouragement and support in ways that I will never be able to truly thank you sufficiently. To our friends who never back down when we need help and are the first ones there to celebrate our success, your loyalty, your love mean the world to me. And to my children, Connor, Olivia, and Liam, I didn't know who I was until I had you. You have given my life meaning, perspective, and purpose beyond anything I could have imagined. Every accomplishment in my professional life pales in comparison to the privilege of being your mom. And to my husband, Ryan, your support has been unwavering. From the moment I first considered seeking this position, you believed in me completely. You have encouraged me when I doubted myself, celebrated my successes, and carried countless responsibilities so I could pursue this opportunity. I am profoundly grateful for your partnership and your love. And to the members of the bar, I hope my service on the bench thus far has demonstrated my commitment to fairness, to preparation, and thoughtful decision-making. I remain dedicated to listening carefully, treating every person who enters my courtroom with dignity and respect, and never taking for granted the trust that has been placed in me. It is the honor of a lifetime to serve the people of Lane County, and I look forward to continuing in my work as a judge for many years to come. Thank you all.
Congratulations, Judge May. We'll now hear from Senior Judge Suzanne Shanti, who's going to talk with us a bit about Judge Allison Knight.
Judge Knight, Judge May, members of the Lane County Bench, friends and guests. Allison Knight was working for Lane County Public Defenders when I first met her. I quickly discovered that she was a formidable lawyer in her early years of lawyering. As I watched her grow in that role, I saw that Allison was very obviously committed to a high standard of practice. Whether she appeared in a settlement conference, sentencing, hearing, or trial, she was always prepared, always in command of the facts of her case, the law governing the material issues, and importantly, always able to give cogent voice to her client's experience. Hearing cases she was involved in was satisfying to me because her legal memos were well-written and well-grounded in legal analysis that was on point and tailored to her specific case, rather than the cut-and-paste recitation of legal principles supported by string citations and void of relevant analysis that I had become accustomed to. What is more, her legal theory was focused and precise, which improved my ability to understand the case. Inevitably, her presentations challenged me to think and speak more carefully, which meant that when she was in court, I was a better judge. Over time, I came to know Allison in another context. She and I worked in some of the same work groups and committees convened to improve the justice system's response to people with psychiatric disabilities and other behavioral health challenges. As we all know, there are many people among us who are in need of necessities like education, housing, health care, and frequently these essentials are not available from any source. Obviously, the lack of basic needs increases the likelihood that a person with mental health challenges will have contact with law enforcement and our court systems. As Allison has succinctly explained, quote, "The collapse of social safety nets frequently results in county courts becoming social emergency rooms," end quote. That is a role they are not designed for and not equipped to handle. It is within the context of my work on these issues that I watched Judge Knight become one of the state's leading experts on the subject and a force to be reckoned with. And I also learned from our work together why she was dedicating such an enormous effort to these committees and work groups. She understood that legal rules and legal procedures imply a political theory, and that they create and sustain a social order. She understood that legal theory and legal rules are connected to how real people lead real lives. Her tireless work changing and improving the legal regime governing the justice system's response to people with severe mental illness is a product of this understanding and reflects great respect for the law and the power it wields over people's lives. It is this habit of mine that made her an outstanding advocate and will make her an outstanding judge. When she sits in judgment, she will do so in a way that is faithful to the law and informed by the knowledge that the decision she renders involves real people and almost always their suffering. There's something else I observed about Allison Knight during the years that I've been acquainted with her. She approached her task with a focused and fierce zeal, born of an authentic commitment to what she was trying to achieve. and she did it with a disarming lack of self-importance. The fight, the lesson, the effort was not about her, the person. Now, plainly, a relatively diminished sense of self-involvement when one takes up the role of a judge is a plus. Someone whose someone whose desire for the job stems from the need to be somebody with a capital S is doomed to grow in that regard, because the duties and powers of the office invite conflating one's role with one's person. It seems that needy egos, when fed, grow ever hungrier. But I'm confident that given Judge Knight's allergy to self-acclaim, she will not develop this problem. Speaking of self-acclaim, I should tell that when Judge Knight asked me to introduce her today, she said that the less I talked about her, the better. To avoid a total disregard of her feeling, I thought I would share something I was told at my investiture that helped me navigate my judicial career. It is the advice given to me by my mentor and friend, David Schuman. David, before he became a law professor, Oregon's Deputy Attorney General, and an appellate court judge, was a professor with a PhD in literature from University of Chicago. He was the finest of writers, had brilliant intellect and wit, and a self-deprecation that made me forget the intellectual distance between us. David shared, as he put it, something that he had learned about judging, and he thought it would be of use to me. This is what he said. It comes from the familiar biblical injunction from the book of Micah, which still strikes me as the best guidance for any judge. What doth the Lord require of thee but to do justice, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God? This commandment, particularly the first two parts, sets us on a hard path. We must love mercy, but do justice. That is, we must elevate our duty to the laws over our impulse to be merciful. We must reject the French proverb that tells us that to understand everything is to forget everything. At the same time, though, we have to do that without stifling our sympathetic impulses. We must remain vulnerable to fellow feeling, even as we manipulate abstracts and draw bright lines and impersonally dole out reward or punishment. In this respect, Micah's command echoes the God of Deuteronomy, who says, "And I charged your judges at the time, saying, ye shall not be afraid of the face of man." I took Judge Schuman's advice to mean that I was obligated to follow the law while simultaneously keeping, using Shakespeare's term, the quality of mercy close. The two are not mutually exclusive. Imposing legal judgment does not forbid kindness and compassion. Judge Knight, I hope that you strive to do justice while loving mercy, and that you never succumb to the coldness of heart and perversion of power that breeds contempt for the human condition that comes asking for help and that bleeds itself dry frequently on your courtroom floor. I can tell you from the experience of often failing to hit that mark that doing this is no small feat, even though from the perspective of the uninitiated, it seems like an easy ask. As Judge Schuman urged me, I urge you, do not flinch from the human face. Always try to remember that beneath the surface of any case, behind the pleadings and the motions, the rules, are real people who feel love and betrayal, humiliation, anger, desperation, and pride, and pain. I know you know these things, and I know it's in your nature to keep them as touchstones. Even so, as I also suspect you have learned by now, the work of a trial judge is a lot more demanding and difficult than somebody looking at it from the outside thinks. The pressure to jettison one's compassion and kindness and to rely only on one's power is real. This is also true when dealing with complaints born from people's perceptions and expectations about who you are and how or who you should be. Keep in mind that it is always easier for someone to criticize than construct, and they most often criticize from their own self-serving viewpoints. It is a hazard of your job that people will complain. When they do, reflect on whether the complaint has something to teach you about being a better judge. If it does, make use of the lesson. If it doesn't, treat it as a useless Bible and ignore it. But through it all, try not to take it personally and try to be kind. Seek counsel from your own fearless and open heart and from judges whose work you admire. You have integrity and courage and the willingness to reach principled conclusions in the face of hostile and powerful forces. Let that integrity and courage be your guardians. Keep your commitment to work hard, to the rule of law, and to treat everyone with kindness and respect as priorities, and you will be immune from the corruption and perversion your power can wrought. The people you serve deserve no less. I am confident that you will find, like I did, that overwhelmingly the people working in the judiciary know its importance to our collective experience as a nation, and serve it with a commitment to the principles that every person is equal in the eyes of the law and should be treated with respect and dignity. They strive to serve that commitment even under a crushing workload, even when the people they are respecting do not give respect in return, even when they are witnessing the horror of the worst of human behaviors and the greatest of human miseries. You are now one of the many keeping this fragile system of ours alive and worthy of people's belief that we are, after all, a country based on the rule of law and have a justice system that is worthy of its name. It is good and meaningful work. Along with witnessing the telling of cruel stories, the expression of unfathomable grief and hopelessness, you will also come to know amazing acts of grace, kindness, and selfless sacrifice for the benefit of others. If you are open to it, your work will reward you with a transcendent understanding of what it means to be human, and it will bestow in you an unshakable gratitude for that experience. Judge Knight and Judge May, thank you for submitting to the excruciating and thorough vetting process necessary to receive this appointment. I am certain that the people of Lane County will be well served. We welcome you.
Allison Knight. Please raise your right hand to be sworn. I, Allison Knight, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Allison Knight, do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and the Constitution of the State of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully and
impartially
discharge the duties
of a judge of the Circuit Court
of a judge of the Circuit Court
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
and that I will not accept any other office
and that I will not accept any other office
except judicial offices
except judicial offices
during the term for which I have been appointed.
during the term for which I have been appointed.
Congratulations. Robing Judge Knight today is her father, Don Knight.
My dad has been an attorney for 43 years, and when I was growing up, he was a judge in the municipal court where we lived. My sisters and I always knew we were really in trouble when he brought out his judge voice, so the roots of this moment go back a long way for me. When I took the attorney's oath 12 years ago, I envisioned a career in public interest, helping to ensure access to justice. I went to law school because I believed that our courts and our constitutional processes exist to protect the rights of all people and to help level the playing field for those who are most vulnerable. I took for granted that the institutions that make that advocacy possible, our courts, our Constitution, the rule of law, would always be there. Over the course of my career, I came to understand that these institutions are not monuments or relics, but they are living things, and at times fragile things. They require attention and people committed to nurturing them to survive. I became a judge to be one of the people to nurture those principles. I promise to work just as hard on the bench as I did in my practice, protecting the principles that make justice possible and ensuring that our courts remain places where every person can expect to be taken seriously, to have their matter resolved fairly, and to be treated respectfully. When I decided to apply for this position, I was deeply moved by how our community showed up to support me. I want to spend the rest of my time expressing gratitude and recognizing some of those people. First, I want to thank those who directly supported my application, Judge Shanti, Multnomah County Judge Nan Waller, and former Cahoots workers Laurel Osavskis, Berkeley Carnine, and Jennifer Perrin. I want to thank Alicia Beamer from Peace Health, Mickey Logan from the Oregon State Hospital, Clint Riley from Lane County Deflection, Michelle Larson from Parole and Probation, Marcus Vehar from Lane County Council, and Evan, Mike, and Ellen Morrow. I am also grateful for the support of Casey Lewis and Senator Floyd Przansky and Representative Jason Krupp. Your letters of support, your encouragement, and your willingness to serve as references were invaluable. I am proud to have received support from so many different corners of our community. Working with all of you over the years shaped the perspective that I bring to this role. I also want to thank my colleagues on the bench. Many of you offered advice and encouragement while I was deciding whether to apply. Those conversations helped me envision what this job could be and gave me the confidence to pursue it. I also want to thank my twin judge sister, Judge May. It has been an honor to get to know you and to look up to you and to go through this process together. And I look forward to continuing our leadership in this community as judges. I am the first judge to fill position 17 in our district. This position would not exist without the advocacy of the Lane County delegation to the state legislature. Thank you for your persistence in fighting for these positions so we can be the judges our community needs. Thank you to Governor Kotek and her staff for giving me this vote of confidence. I cannot imagine the last 6 months without Kelsey Campbell and Erica Carmona, my clerk and my judicial assistant. The three of us all started new together and have already built a chambers that I am very proud of. Of course, I wouldn't be here, either standing here in this position or the lawyer I was, without support from PDS. I'm grateful to all of the support staff and attorneys I was lucky enough to work with during my time there, but especially my colleagues on the management team and to the lawyers who worked with me on the mental health team. It was an honor to be part of this chapter in PDS history. He's not here today, but I surely would not be here at all if not for Jeff Murdoch. He believed in me 1,000% from the first moment he met me on my first day at PDS. I hope he would be proud if he were here to see it. Last but not least, to my family and my friends, you have all been my biggest cheerleaders, unofficial therapists, closing argument test juries, and the greatest support I could ask for. I would not have made it here without you. Thank you all for being here today. It is an honor to serve this community.
All right, so in closing, I just wanted to give a few comments to our new colleagues on behalf of all of us. We think you are smart. We know you work hard. We can tell because when they get into the computer and sign certain things, we see the timestamp for when they sign things. And I will tell you that they are working at all hours of the day and night and fulfilling their roles. We observe that you ask thoughtful and incisive questions. We appreciate that you seek support when appropriate. We respect your commitment to learning the law and applying it with integrity. We have noticed your gracious, courteous, and professional interactions with litigants. And we are grateful that each of you have embraced the sometimes overwhelming task of learning this role while bringing with you a spirit of fun, energy, and renewed vigor. Thank you all for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed this opportunity to learn a little bit more about our judges and to welcome them. Thank you again for creating seats 16 and 17 for the Lane County Circuit Court. Please remember that there is a reception at the Eugene Country Club. The address is listed on your program, and we hope to see you there. regarding Exhibit A, which was offered into evidence. It is received, and court is adjourned.